Have you ever vented to someone you love only for them to hit you with, just don't think about it, or maybe you're overreacting, or try to stay positive? Yeah, it sucks. It's the fastest way to feel completely unseen. Today, we're going to talk about validation, why we crave it, why it's so damn important, and how to actually get it without relying on other people to give it to you. Hey, I'm Kayla Riley, licensed therapist, entrepreneur, and mama, just trying to keep my shit together like the rest of you. Welcome to Shrink Shots, quick hit bonus episodes packed with bite-sized insights on relationships, parenting, and more. No fluff, just real talk. Let's do this. Validation is simply feeling seen, heard, and understood. It's the moment when someone looks at you and says, I get it, instead of dismissing your experience. And as much as we might like to think we're independent, we all need that. Humans are wired for connection. Our brains literally calm down when we feel understood. That's why when someone says, that makes total sense why you'd feel that way, your whole body relaxes. It's not just an emotional thing, it's biological. But here's where things go sideways. A lot of us go looking for validation in places that can't or won't give it to us. A common one is from people who don't have the capacity, the emotionally unavailable parent, the partner who avoids deep convos. Yeah, they're probably not going to give you what you need, and that's not a reflection of your worth. That's you continuously going to people who can't do it for you. That's like going to a hardware store for bread and wondering why you're starving. The second place I see it a lot is on social media. We all know that you get a super awesome dopamine hit when you post something and it gets a bunch of likes, but that kind of validation is empty if we're using it to fill an emotional void. Another wrong place is over-explaining ourselves to try to get someone else to validate us, even though they never will. So if you catch yourself justifying your feelings over and over and over, hoping someone will finally say, yeah, you're not crazy, that totally makes sense, that's a sign you're craving validation in the wrong places. When someone you love dismisses your feelings, it can feel frustrating and validating and even super triggering to some people, especially if you grew up in an environment where your emotions weren't taken seriously. So, how do you handle it without shutting down? Try these responses. For people who mean well but are just emotionally unintelligent, try, I know you're trying to help, but I really just need to feel heard right now. Or, I don't need advice, I just need to vent for a sec. For people who consistently dismiss you, say something like, I don't expect you to fully get it, but this is real for me. Or, I'm not asking you to fix it, I just need space to process. For setting boundaries with repeat offenders, try something a little bit more spicy, like, I'm realizing I need to talk to people who really listen, let's change the subject. Or, I'm not going to argue with you about whether my feelings are valid or not. If someone repeatedly invalidates you, that's information, not a challenge. So many people get caught up in this. They see it as a challenge to keep hammering their point until they get heard. Well, that's not going to help anybody. So use it as information, not a challenge. You don't have to keep going to them for support if they cannot give it to you. When we don't get the validation we need, we either shut down or spiral into self-doubt. But there is a better way. So if you want to validate yourself so that you're not always waiting for others to do it, here's your little 4-step process. Step 1, acknowledge your own feelings. Instead of thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, try, it totally makes sense why I feel this way given what I've been through. My emotions are valid even if someone else doesn't understand them. I don't need permission to feel what I feel. Step 2, talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. Would you ever tell your best friend, you're probably overreacting? Hell no. So don't do it to yourself. Instead, say, that was a tough situation and it makes total sense why I feel this way. Or, I don't have to prove my feelings to anyone. Step 3, surround yourself with the right people. You don't need everyone to validate you, just a few solid people who actually listen. If someone constantly dismisses your feelings, they may not be your person for emotional support, and that's okay. You can go elsewhere. Step 4, practicing emotional boundaries. Not everyone has to understand your feelings for your feelings to be valid. Some people just won't get it, and that doesn't mean that your experience isn't real. Let go of the need to make others approve of how you feel. Validation isn't about needing approval. It's about acknowledging that your experience is real. If you've been waiting for someone to validate you, let this be it right here. Your feelings make sense. You are not too much. You do not need permission to feel what you feel. Boom! Now you've got something to think about. If this hits home, share it with a friend or tag me on Instagram at notyourtherapist.kayla. Shrink Shots drop every Tuesday and Thursday with 10 episodes in each series. So hit follow and don't miss your next dose of no BS therapy wisdom. See you next time.